Stan Arthur here for the I Love St. Pete Facebook group. If you're a business owner looking to connect with tens of thousands of potential new local customers, you owe it to yourself to get enrolled in our Key Tag Rewards program. Since 2019, we've signed up more than 200 local merchants. Sponsor opportunities are available too, such as our group banner ad and even your own custom key tags. Just go to stpetekeytag.com, get enrolled, and get ready to get busy. stpetekeytag.com.
Impressive. Excellent.
Well, I think
Hey, Stan Arthur.
Take a moment and reflect. Last February, in this stadium, something special happened. Tonight is the encore. After a moment that Tampa Bay will never forget.
The Tampa Bay Buccaneers have a second Super Bowl title.
A championship that the world can never take away. The journey of this team isn't over. Tonight, we turn the page. We may be champions, but once again, we suit up as the unproven.
We have new goals this year. It's going to be a different trip to get to the Super Bowl with fans in the stands.
Last year's effort won't be enough. So we need something that we didn't have last time. With our crew at our back, our strength is unmatched.
And down he goes. Devin White fires over the middle. It's tackled and going deep. Catch made. Jones breaks it. Brady throws end zone. He's got Evan Gronkowski again.
Hey, fellas, it's the moment. Hey, we here. Let's not take this opportunity for granted.
the camera's on tonight, man. Hey, what we gonna do when the cameras come on? We gonna shine. Let everybody know we the best team in the world.
So whoever you are, know this. There's no fight you can break, there's no hell you can raise that's greater than all that we've been through together.
Fournette goes for the deep shot. He's got a touchdown.
After all, every great story deserves a sequel, and ours begins right now.
Dallas Cowboys hit the road for Week 1 off to Tampa Bay to take on the Super Bowl champ Buccaneers. The Bucs offense still being run by that number 12 guy. He's looking to start 2021 playing the way he finished 2020.
That's what we wanted. That's what we wanted. We're going to do it again.
And yes, this will also, of course, mark the return of Dak. The last time we saw Prescott in a regular season game, he was being carted off the field. Cowboy country holding its collective breath in hopes Prescott is 100% and ready to resume his ascension up the QB power rankings ladder, so to speak.
Jackson, big Brady buys time, looks upfield, throws it downfield, he's going to receive. It's caught, ball, Godwin. Looking end zone, what a catch! C.D. Lamb for a Cowboys touchdown. Brady airing it out, going deep. He's got it to Antonio Brown. Touchdown, Tampa Bay. 29-yard line. Look at that. In perfect form. We've seen other guys hurdle, but this is the best form we've seen.
And the defending Super Bowl champion, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, for the first time, get to show off that Vince Lombardi trophy tonight at Raymond James Stadium. Finally, fans, an opportunity for Tampa Bay to kind of welcome the GOAT, Tom Brady, to Tampa Bay and that championship. And it's all about getting ready for the first game of this NFL season. Fire those cannons as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers take on the Cowboys. There you go, in the very first game of this NFL campaign. And they are coming in as world champions. Hello again, everybody. I'm Al Keck with Peter Blake, Blank Anthony, and many others tonight as we get you ready for this NFL season and this opening game of this NFL season, all brought to you by NSPN Next Gen Sports. And we would like to thank the people here at Ducky's for making all of this possible. And we will do this throughout the season. And we will do this beginning with the Al Keck Show on 102.5 The Bone every Sunday morning at 10 o'clock. I'll be going live from here, and we will get you ready for every Buccaneer game this season. So, the Buccaneers favored by 8.5 points now over the Cowboys. And when you talk to most of the people around the National Football League and around the media, they make it very clear that they believe the Buccaneers will win this in a rollover. It'll be an easy victory. It'll be the type of victory that the Buccaneers kept putting together when they ended last season with an 8-game winning streak, including rolling through the playoffs and the Super Bowl. The so-called victim is Dallas, America's team. You don't think it's a coincidence, or do you think that this was kind of planned out? What a perfect way to open up the NFL season with the defending world champs taking on America's team and seeing what Dak Prescott can do in his very first game back. And it's very interesting to me when you read everything nationally or look at all the stories nationally in talking about this game. You're not hearing about the Buccaneers behind Tom Brady going for back-to-back Super Bowl championships. What you're hearing is Dak Prescott coming back for the Cowboys. Dak Prescott left last year early with a broken ankle. Gets to training camp and suffers a shoulder injury. He did not play in postseason or in preseason, and all he's done is practice. And now you go into a game against the defending Super Bowl champs with one of the best defenses in all of football, and you're missing your number one offensive lineman in Zach Martin. It's going to make for a very interesting matchup in this game. Now, as far as that Cowboys defense is concerned, Dan Quinn, the former head coach in Atlanta, is the new defensive coordinator. And the Buccaneers know all about Dan Quinn. Dan Quinn knows all about the Buccaneers. But more importantly, Tom Brady knows all about Dan Quinn and how he lines up his defense. And remember, it was Dan Quinn, and he was the head coach of the Atlanta Falcons when Tom Brady came storming back in that Super Bowl a few years ago and came back from what was a 28-3 deficit and came back on that defense of Atlanta. So Tom Brady knows what to expect from Dan Quinn. And the Buccaneers will know what to expect from the Cowboys. And when you see what the Buccaneers did in that final preseason game, and that final preseason game where they played the first quarter and a bit there, and the way they dominated, albeit the Houston Texans, the Buccaneers believe that they have the formula to do that again against the Cowboys in this first game. That being said, it is so difficult at times to play as well as you're supposed to play in any given game, especially the first game of the season, because that Cowboys staff has been pointing to this game and has been getting this team ready for this showdown against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on the biggest stage outside of the playoffs that there is in the National Football League. And for the city of Tampa Bay Buccaneer fans, they have been looking for this moment simply because they thought they were going to have it last year. And then with the pandemic and COVID, that prevented a normal season, that prevented big crowds. And as I drove in and drove past Raymond James Stadium, believe me, these people are ready to see their Buccaneers, and it has all the makings for something that could be very big in Tampa Bay sports history. In fact, I was talking with Brian Ford, the president of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and I believe this may be, outside of postseason, the biggest regular season game in the history of any sports in Tampa Bay because of what it means and the fact that this area can finally celebrate this championship and celebrate the fact that they have Tom Brady on their team, the number 12 for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in pewter and red. So with that, let's talk about this game. And joining me is Peter Blake. Peter, you saw that, all the action a year ago with this team. You've seen the preseason action. Do you agree with all the experts that this is going to be a blowout and it could be over very, very quickly?
Absolutely. Because at the end of the day, you look at the Dallas Cowboys. Look, they got Dan Quinn as their defensive coordinator, but what did he do with the Atlanta Falcons last year? Not a great defense. Do you have the personnel? Look, they were a 3-4 last year. Now they're going back to a 4-3. But who do you have in that secondary? Any Anthony Brown, Diggs, there's nobody there that really can match up with this Buccaneer offense. And then at the end of the day, you're losing your best offensive lineman in Zach Martin already. You have Dak coming off that injury, and then he's already got a shoulder injury, and nobody's talking about this Buccaneer defense. But going back to it, that offense, honestly, the Dallas Cowboys, I don't think can stop that Buccaneer offense with Antonio Brown, Mike Evans, and Chris Godwin. And, of course, the great one, Mr. Tom Brady there with the 40 touchdowns and 12 interceptions last year. And now, Al, he's actually fully healthy coming off that torn MCL. And Clyde Christensen actually said he looks like he's 24, 25 years old. So if you're getting a Tom Brady like that, with him knowing the offense, and you look at last year, him not knowing the offense and now knowing it, you feel like this could be a real special year for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
And that is the thing. Tom Brady makes it very clear. He says, hey, I know this offense now. I really understand how to make this thing work. I understand how to use all the pieces. And when you look last week against the Houston Texans in that first quarter, he was throwing the ball to all of his different weapons, and it was so very effective. Then you add in a running game with Ronald Jones, Leonard Fournette, and Giovanni Bernard, who gives the Buccaneers that third down threat, a guy that can actually catch the ball coming out of the backfield. And if you look at those guys individually, they're not that strong.
No.
But you take Ronald Jones, Leonard Fournette, and Gio Bernard, and you put them all together, and you use them the right way, I believe now you have one good running back. You now have one really good running attack that can be used in a lot of different ways. But no doubt that the key offensively for this team and for Tom Brady are all those weapons that they have at receiver. And now you add in O.J. Howard for the entire season. He was coming off a season-ending injury a year ago. He did struggle in preseason, but he's back and can do so many things for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at tight end, and tight end now with Gronk and Cameron Brate. And that entire offense is so very impressive. But when I look at these receivers, the guy I'm excited to see for a whole season is Antonio Brown.
Absolutely, because he didn't get into the offense until the second half of the year. He's healthy. He's supposedly looking like he was in Pittsburgh now. So you would definitely think and believe that eventually he's definitely going to step out in this offense because he's comfortable in it. So that would be my X factor in this offense this year. People talk about Mike Evans, as they should. Chris Godwin, of course, has everything to lose at this point because he's coming up to be a free agent next year. But Antonio Brown and his impact that second half of the year, if you don't have Brown in the second part, then basically your offense is not going anywhere because you had so many injuries last year with a Mike Evans and, of course, a Chris Godwin. So I'm definitely excited to see Brown and, of course, Scotty Miller, who nobody really talks about, Tyler Johnson, and, of course, the rookie there, Jalen Darden, the fourth-round pick on special teams and possibly getting some opportunities because he was handpicked by Tom Brady. He has that speed factor. So this offense, this team overall is basically stacked.
Oh, absolutely. And stacked in so many different ways. Now, defensively, I'm pulling it back a little bit in that everybody just assumes that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to pick up exactly where they left off a year ago. And when you talk about any Super Bowl champion, and especially if you're a Super Bowl champion bringing back 22 starters and 11 starters on defense, there's no way, despite that you can expect them to hit the ground running in week number one. And what we saw a year ago with this secondary, these young kids, it's not like they were covering opposing wide receivers. They were chasing opposing wide receivers.
Sure.
And really, it wasn't until Vita Vea came back from injury that this defense really started to do the things that we expected from a Todd Bowles defense. And so I'm going to be very interested to see what this defense can do against Dallas with all those excellent wide receivers, probably the second best receiving core in all of football behind the Buccaneers. And can that young Buccaneers secondary cover these guys? I could see the Bucs getting off to a quick start, building up a big lead, but as the game goes on, Dak Prescott starts to get more and more comfortable because, again, he's making his first start in about a year. And those young receivers for Dallas against those young defensive backs for the Buccaneers may not be pretty at some points in the game. So we'll see if that secondary can continue to mature as it did later in the season last year.
I think they got better overall in the postseason. You look at their play versus the Washington football team, the New Orleans Saints, the Green Bay Packers, and, of course, the Kansas City Chiefs. People are saying, well, the Cowboys, they got an explosive offense, 3 wide receivers. Kansas City, that's an explosive offense, and that defense did a number on Patrick Mahomes and absolutely shut down a Tyreek Hill. So I absolutely believe that this defensive front overall with the Vita Vea is definitely different, but that back end is absolutely ready. And you look at Antoine Winfield and his play last year. Look, you're not going to have a Jordan Whitehead, but you will have a Mike Edwards. He's a ball hawk, so I don't think they missed a beat at this point. And then on top of it, the big-time story of this training camp, first-round pick, Joe Tryon Shoyinka. could be a handful for that offensive line. And remember, that offensive line was in shambles last year, being the Cowboys with the Tyron Smith and, of course, the Lael Collins coming off an injury. And once again, going back to Zach Martin being out on that right side, you're going to have to compensate. So to me, that is a big-time matchup problem for the Cowboys tonight that they're going to have to deal with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Well, the Buccaneers are going to pick their spots with Tryon Shoyinka. I don't call him Tryon Shoyinka. I call him Steal because he was a steal of the first round. How do you get a guy like that?
Right.
With the 32nd pick in the draft. And the fact that a defending Super Bowl champ is adding to their defense like that with a weapon like that when everybody in football is desperate for finding a pass rusher, to have a guy like that fall right into your lap, he is easily going to be one of the most talked about Buccaneers here early in the season. And it will be fun to watch him tonight against the Cowboys. I believe that the Buccaneers will pick their spots and let him do what he does best, which is get after the quarterback. And he will do that with Dak Prescott tonight.
All right, you want to hear what Tom Brady had to say the other day about butterflies and this year's expectations for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers?
Let's do it.
All right, here we go. Tom Brady on butterflies and also his expectations for this year for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers live here on NSPN. Here we go. Oh, I think we're having a little tech issues here, so stand by.
Yeah, mine was 2008. I got injured and I missed the whole year. Dak played a little more than I did his last year. He played, 4 or 5 games, had great 4 or 5 games. So he's a really talented player. Really, since the day he got in the league, he's shown to be a great leader of the team. And, we're just expecting him to play like that, like Dak Prescott does. Very talented, moves in the pocket, throws a good ball. They got a lot of talented skill players. So for us offensively, we're going to have to do a good job putting our defense in a good position. I don't think we can give any extra possessions. Turnovers will be a big factor. Field position is going to be important. Getting off the field on third down and us staying on the field, keeping the ball out of their hands is going to be important. But they do a good job. Good running backs, good receivers, great offensive line. Dak's a great player. So they got one of the best offenses. Very talented defense. Linebackers are very deep at linebacker. They got a good push up front, and I think they have a very talented secondary. So it's a big challenge for our team.
All right, welcome back. So there you go, talking about the Cowboys, talking about Dak Prescott and the defense. And look, they have talent on the team. You look at their wide receivers, like you talked about, CeeDee Lamb, of course, Amari Cooper, and Michael Gallup. But I think it all starts, of course, and it has to with this Cowboy team, Ezekiel Elliott. Contract extension a couple years ago, but unproductive year last year. Yards per carry, 2 straight years have been going down. That's where you started out at. If you can run the ball, then basically you can beat this defense. But Al, I don't think they can run the ball versus this Buccaneer rush defense at all.
Well, the Buccaneers, again, a year ago, #1 against the rush. And the question I have with this defense, as the Buccaneers are now on the field, at least for their warm-ups, as you see Tom Brady and Blaine Gabbert, as they get ready for this game, 8:20 kickoff on NBC. One of the things that kind of opened my eyes, and we talked so much about the offense in that final preseason game against the Houston Texans. When you look at that #1 defense, Houston was able to move the ball against the Buccaneers.
Mm-hmm.
The one difference was that Buccaneer defense was able to force turnovers. And that ended some real drives for Houston. Now, how much of that was not with Todd Bowles dialing up a bunch of blitzes and a bunch of exotic stuff.
Sure.
It was just basic stuff. And the Houston Texans, certainly not one of the better teams in the National Football League, but they had their troubles in turning over the football. And that was a major reason why the Buccaneers were able to have the success that they had. So will we see more of that tonight from this defense, or will the Buccaneers dial up so many different things, Todd Bowles, and confuse Dak? And he's playing his first game in the better part of a year. And it's one thing if you've had preseason action, I'm not sure you can duplicate what the Buccaneers do in practice. So these first couple series could be an opportunity for this Buccaneer defense to force some turnovers and use that as a way to jump on an early lead on these Cowboys.
And at the end of the day, you want to get pressure on a Dak Prescott because you want to first, test his mentality at that point because he is coming off an injury. And if you can do that, then I definitely think you're in business at that point. But remember now, Dak Prescott was on his way to 6,500 passing yards before he got hurt. And he's coming into this game already hurt with a shoulder injury. And I don't think that's going away. So he's already not 100%. So if I'm Todd Bowles, and you know Todd Bowles as well as I do, they're going to blitz him. And I feel like you're going to see JPP, who's going to be 100%. He wasn't 100% last year, 70, 75%. He's coming off the surgery. Shaq Barrett, even he admitted that he had a down year, so he wants to prove himself. And this kid, Tryon, I believe that all these kids all these guys, all these players are going to be on the field together. And Todd Bowles is going to have a good time. And we haven't even talked about their linebackers. We talked about Pierre Paul and, of course, Shaq Barrett. But you can't forget about Levante David and Devin White.
Yeah.
Look at how Devin White played last year. Totally solidified that defense all over the place, just all over the field.
Here's the thing that's going to be interesting in this game because, as we've talked about, it's going to be extremely difficult for the Dallas Cowboys to run the ball on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So that means Dak's going to have to throw the ball a lot. If his shoulder is not 100%, could he handle throwing the ball 35, 40 times over the course of a game, over the course of trying to throw deep and take advantage of that young Buccaneers secondary?
Sure.
That simply may not be able to happen because of his shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you take the injuries up front with Zach Martin and the fact that this defense, at least a year ago, and how much they can take that and carry that into this game, could have so much to say as to what kind of start the Buccaneers get off to.
And here's what BA had to say about their biggest weapon. You'll be surprised at who it was here live on NSPN at Ducky Sports Lounge. Here we go.
Offensively, it's Ezekiel, because it all starts with him and that big offensive line. They're going to try to run the football. So we got to get that. We got to get them in a one-dimensional game there. Defensively, those two outside pass rushers, DeMarcus Lawrence and Gregory, they can disrupt the ball game. So our tackles are going to have to play a great game. Our tight ends are going to have to do a hell of a job in the running game.
All right, so there you go. Clearly, it starts with the running game. And what do we know? When that defense is able to shut down that running game, that gives them that opportunity on third downs to basically pin their ears back, if you will, blitz, show exotic coverages, and get after the quarterback. It's a lot better when you're in 3rd and 10, 3rd and 12, 3rd and 15 instead of 3rd and 3, 3rd and 5. Because if the Cowboys are in manageable situations, they can definitely beat you tonight.
Have we talked about Antonio Brown much?
we have talked about him a little bit, yes.
Okay,
yes.
And the reason I said that is because I do believe he will be the weapon for the Buccaneers this season.
Okay.
I just do.
Okay.
And here's why. They're going to concentrate. First of all, anytime you look at this Buccaneer offense and you're a defensive coordinator, first thing you're going to do, we got to account for Mike Evans.
Sure.
Then you got to look at Chris Godwin and say, Godwin, until he got hurt last year, was one of the best receivers in all of football.
Agree.
And now you've got Antonio Brown, who only played the half season. And there's going to be so much attention on those two. And it was like that, especially in the playoffs. And then they went to Antonio Brown. And it was Antonio Brown that may not have caught a bunch of passes, but he caught key passes.
Correct.
And he gave the Buccaneers that early lead in the Super Bowl against Kansas City. So I just believe that over the course of a long season, as it was a year ago in only 8 games, he caught 45 balls.
Yep.
Okay. Spread that out over a full season. You're looking at 90 catches, and he had, 45 catches for 450 yards. So spread that out over a full season. Now with 17 games, he's going to have close to 100 catches.
Sure.
And close to 1,000 yards. Now, Mike Evans may have more catches and more yards and more touchdowns. And Chris Godwin's going to be interesting to see there. But I'm telling you, the guy that's going to be key in getting this offense rolling and getting this passing game rolling, because he's played before with Tom Brady, and Tom Brady knows what he can really do with Antonio Brown. I think we're going to see a lot of that, and I think we'll see some of that tonight. Now, that is a caveat. If the Buccaneers jump out to an early lead, I don't see them continuing to put the thumb down and put the pressure on this Cowboys defense in that. I don't think they're going to show everything. I mean, they're not going to show everything they've got in the first game of the season. They're going to save a bunch of stuff.
Sure.
But I still think that we're going to see that Antonio Brown is a guy that you definitely have to contend with. And I know all the people out here that have fantasy teams, and the ones that were lucky were able to get Antonio Brown on their fantasy team. I was not. I sure wish I had.
Well, I got Chris Godwin, and of course he's coming into this game tonight a little bit banged up. Any worry, in your opinion, about that? You think he's good to go? And like you said, does that give more emphasis to a Brown to basically break out in this game because Godwin isn't 100%?
Well, the beauty in all this is that you've got so many weapons. You can account for a person not being 100%, and you can spread it around and just pick your spots with the guy.
Sure.
And I think the beauty of Godwin is, he's not as big as Mike Evans. He's not as fast and as quick as Antonio Brown, but he's got enough talent to do a little bit of everything.
Sure.
And that makes him, he can be your possession receiver. He can be the guy you go to on third down. He can be a guy also that if you're concentrating on Mike Evans or AB, he can burn you down the middle. And then that doesn't even account for Gronk or O.J. Howard or Cameron Brate down at the goal line.
Right.
So, just so many riches for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But it's one thing to talk about. It's one thing to actually do it when the TV cameras and the stadium lights are on, and that's what we have to see tonight.
How surprised were you that they were able to re-sign all their players? Because this hasn't happened in the salary cap era. The last time it happened, Week 1 starters, 1979 Pittsburgh Steelers won the Super Bowl. And then the Week 1 Super Bowl starters, 1977 Oakland Raiders, also won the Super Bowl. So you have to feel pretty surprised by that. I mean, this doesn't happen. So it certainly seems like they've been on a mission. And like you said, it's all good to, it's on paper, but at the end of the day, you have to do it. This attitude of this team in this offseason, from BA to Tom Brady, basically, we haven't done anything. We're not defending anything. It's a new slate. We got something to prove. And you got to feel like Tom Brady has that chip on his shoulder where he wants to be the first team since his own team in 03-04 to repeat as a Super Bowl champion.
Well, it's one thing to talk about that.
Right.
And it's another thing to do that.
Difficult.
Because
Very
what
difficult.
happens is there's somebody, one of the 22 starters, has to be thinking or had to be thinking at one time, especially if they're a free agent, I want to get paid. I just was part of a Super Bowl team, so I need a little of this,
Sure.
But because of Brady and the culture on this team, they were able to avoid that. Now, can you do that over the course of a long season? That remains to be seen. But at least, again, we talked about the fact that I think one of the most difficult, they say the only thing tougher than winning a Super Bowl is winning back-to-back Super Bowls.
Sure.
And with that, the expectations in this town and what you're going to see on this field tonight from these stands, or, from 65,000 people, what you're going to see is excitement like you wouldn't believe. And this is going to carry over throughout this season. So can you really pick up where you left off? I don't think you can. I think the expectations are going to be too great. That being said, if you can just let Brady show the way, lead the way, ride him while you're getting your act together on all this. Again, you don't care where you are at the end of September. You care where you are at the end of December.
Right. Well, we'll go out to the comments right now. Christopher Cole says LFG. Jay says Bucs 27-20. So he also kind of thinks this game is going to be close. Once again, I think it comes down to the matchups, and The Bucs and Cowboys, look, both teams have talent, but it just doesn't match up to me. And I get what you're saying. I just think that momentum carrying over from last year from that Super Bowl team, that last 8 games where they went 8-0 and went to the postseason as a wild card through teams like, again, the Washington football team, New Orleans, Green Bay, and Kansas City. Those are no slouches. This team has supreme confidence right now. I would expect a blowout tonight. I would,
and I certainly understand, and I think they will get off to a very quick start.
Right.
My fear
right
is that in the second half, with this young secondary and those really good Dallas receivers, when they got nothing to lose right now,
sure,
and they got to throw the ball all over the yard, I'm not sure that this secondary is going to be as good as it was at the end of the playoffs last year when they were able to really shut some people down.
Yep.
I don't know I've seen them chase way too many receivers and not exactly.
Very inconsistent last year until that postseason. But you had Sean Murphy Bunting step up in that Saints game in the postseason overall. Carlton Davis has everything to lose because he's coming off of a season where he could get paid next year because he's a free agent. He wants to be a top 10 corner. Of course, people will remember that game versus Tyreek Hill, but they don't talk about the Super Bowl where, again, Hill was a non-factor. And then you also have Jamel Dean. So to me, they're stacked at that position, but you're exactly right. The talent for the Dallas Cowboys, Amari Cooper, Robert Gallup, and of course, CD Lamb. Tough, very tough.
Very impressive receivers.
Yeah, you can't give Dak the time.
And the Buccaneers secondary, you can say this about them. They are experienced because they were thrown in there from the very beginning as young kids and had to grow up in a hurry.
Sure.
Sometimes they grew up, sometimes they didn't. And they were good after the bye week, and they were very good in the playoffs. But again, I think the biggest reason of that had to do with Vita Vea finally getting healthy again and really helping the Buccaneers put the pressure up front against opposing offenses. And that's something they're going to definitely have to do tonight. But my question is, what's it going to be like in the second half when Dallas is at the point to where they have to throw the ball all over? Can that Buccaneers secondary be up to the challenge and take what should be a blowout and hope that it still stays a comfortable distance and doesn't all of a sudden become a game?
Again, I just think that defense with the Vita Vea in the middle, they're different. And if you have him, knock on wood, he's not hurt this year, the defense is different. I think you definitely want to make the Cowboys one-dimensional. You want them to throw the ball, and I wouldn't be worried about them throwing the ball. What I would be worried about is if they do get some running yards, then they can hit you down the middle with that pass play action.
So the Cowboys lead the overall series. This is the 20th game between these two teams, and the Cowboys have won 15 of those games. The last time they played was back in 2018. Dak was the quarterback for Dallas, and the Cowboys won at 27-20. So the Buccaneers looking to fire the cannons tonight at home, make the most of a home field advantage the first time that they can show off this Super Bowl championship, and the first time they can truly embrace Tom Brady and show the world that he is Tampa Bay's own now. And it's interesting when you listen to Brady talk about his time now in Tampa as a Buccaneer, living on Davis Islands, that he has really embraced the community. And the community, for the most part, individually, has been able to embrace Tom Brady and his family. But he's not seen it in a ball game.
Right.
Has not seen it in a packed stadium. Has not seen it the way that this area really wants to show him. So that's an opportunity tonight to do this on national TV in the first game of the season. And you've got that Super Bowl trophy in your hip pocket, as this is the beginning of that quest for back-to-back championships.
Of course, it's the beginning of the quest. And then on top of it, the Bucs, they had their difficulty in playing in those primetime games last year. So they want to get off to a good start. You definitely want to win this game at Raymond James Stadium. And you're exactly right. You have a full crowd. The other thing that's, kind of going to be troubling this year, and even Tom Brady talked about it this week, COVID. We have the vaccinations. You're 100% vaccinated, but of course you have fans. You have a lot of situations that are unknown at this point. So this team, once again, has a challenge. They have to beat COVID like they did last year.
And so many teams are really having problems with that.
Yep.
And all it takes is one person.
Yep.
And the Buccaneers really made it very clear a year ago how this was going to work. And Tom Brady and the veterans on this team went to the young rookies, and the younger players said, you're not going out. You're not going to get caught with this stuff, and you're not going to bring down this entire team because this can be a special season. And so you get the feeling that this same message has been sent, but how much will that be taken in by these young kids who already have one Super Bowl in their hip pocket? And Brady's made it very clear he's determined to make it too.
And I think Brady's locker room presence is going to be the reason why you're able to beat COVID, because he's going to tell these young kids, just like he did last year, look, it's a priority. Do you want to be a Tampa Bay Buccaneer and have an opportunity to not only go to the playoffs but win a Super Bowl, or do you want to go out and party? And that's the difference. And you look at the Cowboys, 6 players all of last year had COVID. They already have 8 that have had COVID. And those guys are vaccinated. So you got to continue to keep on taking those precautions. Now, you said that you don't necessarily believe that the Bucs are going to get off to a great start. You're not sure if they can duplicate what they did last year record-wise with the 17 games. What number are you looking at with this Tampa Bay Buccaneers team?
I think 12-5, 13-4.
Okay.
And when you look at their schedule, this is not the toughest schedule.
It's not.
Compared to other people around the league. Obviously, weeks 3 and 4 are going to be, I think, the most difficult games in the season back-to-back, because you're out on the road with the LA Rams, who many people believe could be the NFC representative in the Super Bowl. And then the game of the century, of 2 centuries. You've got Tom Brady going back to New England and playing Bill Belichick there at Gillette Stadium. I think that'll be one of the most talked about games ever. And rightfully so. But you've got those games back-to-back, and the Bucs could play very well and still come out of that 2-2.
Absolutely.
So I think, for the most part, if you look at how things are going to work out, I think 12-5, 13-4 could be a very good season. And really, as the Bucs showed last year, you just want to get into the tournament.
Right.
You just want to get into the playoffs, because they showed, even though they had to play on the road at Washington, at New Orleans, at Green Bay, they were able to get it done when they had to on the road, and they were determined to bring that Super Bowl, to be the first team to play in a Super Bowl in their home building, and they pulled it off, and they won that game. And so this year, many of those pressures that they faced a year ago, they'll be facing those again, but this is a team that knows what to expect.
And because of that, and because of Brady knowing the offense, of Rob Gronkowski and those defensive starters that contributed last year in their first year, I believe this team is a 14-3-1 that faces the Buffalo Bills in Super Bowl 56 and beats them simply because Brady, once again, he has something to prove. He wants to prove that he could do it back-to-back, not only with the New England Patriots from 03 to 04, he can do it with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and I definitely think they have the opportunity to do this with that schedule and with all their offensive weapons. And once again, nobody talks about that defense, but you need to start talking about that defense, because they could shut some teams down. And if you don't understand it, look back at that postseason. Look how many quarterbacks you shut down. Drew Brees retired, one of his worst games of his career versus the Bucs. Aaron Rodgers, not the greatest. And Patrick Mahomes, 497 yards behind the line of scrimmage, running for his life, trying to make plays. They still haven't got a touchdown yet. The only touchdown Kansas City Chiefs had is when they touched down in Tampa. That's it.
So both teams are on the field. The Buccaneers have already have the early advantage because they're wearing their white uniforms. The Cowboys, known for their white uniforms and having to wear the navy blue. So it'll be the Buccaneers and the Cowboys. The Buccaneers favored now by 8.5 points. It's been going up. Started out at 7.5, now up to 8.5 points. And so kickoff coming up in about 30 minutes, and we'll see what happens.
Talk about this division a little bit. You have a transition process with the New Orleans Saints and no more Drew Brees. It's Jameis Winston's team, Carolina Panthers with a new quarterback and Sam Darnold, and, of course, the Atlanta Falcons with a new weapon and a Kyle Pitts from the Florida Gators, but you still have Matt Ryan. You still have defensive deficiencies with them. This division, you can win this division right now. It's down. It's a down division. You would agree with that, right?
Well, not only can they win it, they better win it.
Right.
I mean, that's something at this point, they need to win that division and get at least one home game.
Sure.
So, because there's no one else, as you said, that's really that you can look at and say, okay, this is a surprise team that really could open some eyes. Maybe Carolina, I don't know. But I don't see it. I mean, the Saints always have players, even though Drew Brees is no longer there. But who knows what can happen with Jameis Winston. And the Atlanta Falcons, Smith is a very impressive coach, and he does have Matt Ryan. But this team a year ago couldn't get it done. So it's a wide open division. It's a time to really take advantage of things. And so that's an advantage for this football team in that it's not playing in a really tough division and have to worry about playing division rivals throughout this season.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what it comes down to. Some other NFL news going on today. Gus Edwards looks like he's going to miss the year. That's the third running back the Baltimore Ravens have missed, and also Marcus Peters. So with all those injuries to the Baltimore Ravens, do you feel like they're basically done? Even though they have Lamar Jackson, I mean, you're going to have to depend on Jackson to run the ball a lot. With missing all those running backs, you signed Le'Veon Bell, but Bell the last couple of years really hasn't done much.
Well, when you look at the running backs for Baltimore, they're good running backs. Don't get me wrong. But the key to the Baltimore running attack is not the running backs. It's the guys up front.
Right.
So you can get guys that can still get things done.
Mm-hmm.
And I think just with the threat of Lamar Jackson doing what Lamar Jackson does, that can be even more, it can make him so very dangerous. So I've learned you don't put Baltimore away and say, they're not going to make it happen. They're too hurt. Just can't do it this year. They're dangerous. They're always dangerous. And so even though they're in a tough division, all it takes is a little bit of a hot streak. And you mentioned the COVID stuff. COVID, a great equalizer. A year ago, the Steelers were rolling and were undefeated for a long time. Then they hit their COVID streak, and they won some and lost some during that period. But still, it's a different year. It's a different year.
It absolutely is a different year. NFL means not for long. And if you don't produce, of course, it won't be for long. So we'll see how that situation with the Baltimore Ravens works out. Besides the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the NFC, what's the team you're looking out for? Is it the LA Rams with Matt Stafford? Is it the Green Bay Packers with Aaron Rodgers? Or is it somebody else?
Well, I think the Rams are tough. I think the 49ers could be extremely tough once they figure out their quarterback situation and figure out that Garoppolo's going to be their guy. And the Packers. You can never overlook the Packers.
Sure.
They're going to be good.
All right.
I am going to step away here. It's
Okay.
time for me to give way to Blake Anthony. You two guys can take it from here.
All right.
But let's enjoy this game. Hopefully it's a great Buccaneer performance, and it's finally here. Fire those cannons. The Buccaneers are ready to get this season going.
All right. Thanks a lot to the 40-year sports broadcasting legend, Mr. Al Keck, WTSP Channel 10, WFTS Channel 28, and, of course, now a part of 102.5 The Bone on Sundays at 10 a.m. Thanks a lot, Al Keck. I tell you what, let's go ahead and take a commercial, and then when we come back, we'll have Blake Anthony of Sports Talk 49 here on NSPN's Watch Party live from Ducky's. Keep it locked.
Here for the I Love St. Pete Facebook group. If you're a business owner looking to connect with tens of thousands of potential new local customers, you owe it to yourself to get enrolled in our Key Tag Rewards program. Since 2019, we've signed up more than 200 local merchants. Sponsor opportunities are available too, such as our group banner ad and even your own custom key tags. Just go to StPeteKeyTag.com, get enrolled, and get ready to get busy. StPeteKeyTag.com.
All right, welcome back here. That is not Al Keck. That is actually Blake Anthony. Blake Anthony, welcome to the NSPN Watch Party live from Ducky Sports Lounge. 1719 West Kennedy Boulevard. Bucs versus the Cowboys, getting you ready for it. Your thoughts on this matchup?
Well, first and foremost, football is back. No more watching highlights. No more watching well, you can keep watching the Rays. They're number one.
Sure.
No hockey. but football's back. Thursday night, prime time, in Tampa. Tom Brady, Dak Prescott. I don't need to go further. Football's back, and I'm just happy to be here, Peter.
Absolutely. I'm happy to be here, too. And, of course, the big story has been, of course, can Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers repeat, become the first team since the New England Patriots in 2003, 2004 to do it. And, of course, they did a great job in the offseason by re-signing all their 22 starters. Pretty amazing stuff there. And, again, I think a lot of people just kind of talk about this offense, but they don't talk enough about this defense. Right, Blake?
Tampa Bay's defense, well, was it ESPN or one of the big four-letter words? Agencies had Tampa Bay's secondary as 32nd in the league. Carlton Davis and the Gravediggers took offense to that, and they put up a stellar performance in the 2020 season, intercepting Patrick Mahomes multiple times, forced several turnovers in the playoffs, and definitely excelled their play from week 1 to week 17.
Absolutely. So we're live here at Ducky Sports Lounge, 1719 West Kennedy Boulevard. I'm your host, Peter Blake, along with Mr. Blake Anthony. I tell you what, let's go ahead and read some of these comments. Bucs 31-17 over the Cowboys. Expect a slow start, but the Bucs pull away in the second half. Al kind of talked about this. He kind of believes that the Bucs will get off to a slow start, maybe not be able to duplicate that success. A lot of people saying that. We even heard Drew Brees say the Bucs are not going to repeat. Boy, how about that? So your thoughts? I mean, do you expect a slow start? I kind of feel like even with the weather, and you were kind of talking about this off air with the rain, that, basically they still have everybody intact. I think they actually come out and really establish their running game. They established this pass play action, and they can go down the field on these Dallas Cowboy corners.
Where do I start with Dallas? Tampa, the only way they start off slow is if they get a dumb penalty inside the 20, which will slow the offense. Otherwise than that, Tom Brady's going to try to get quick passes. I believe he'll go to some of the backs underneath to get the chains moving, get the backs' legs running, get the guys up front nice and warm, ready to block and protect Tom Brady, and then start moving the ball methodically downfield by passes to tight ends and slot receivers and things like that. I heard you guys mention about Godwin and Antonio Brown. I expect Gronkowski and O.J. Howard to have about a few receptions this game. That's just my prediction.
Sure.
Because the Dallas's defense has changed a little bit.
Right.
For starters, I'm not sure if you know or a lot of the viewers are aware that former Atlanta Falcon Keanu Neal is now the starting middle linebacker, and his backup is Jalen Smith. And then they moved rookie that they just got, Micah Parsons, to the outside, and Vanderish is the other outside linebacker, spots that these guys aren't familiar with playing with. And then, of course, you've got former secondary Atlanta guy in the secondary as well.
Keanu Neal.
Not Keanu Neal, the other safety from Atlanta. Keanu Neal's playing middle linebacker.
Right.
Didn't know if you knew that. He's playing middle linebacker.
We got Malik Hooker also.
Yeah, from the Colts.
The Colts.
Former Ohio State Buckeye.
Only played 2 games last year.
Yeah,
so they have big-time questions.
Bob Sanders back in the day for the Colts.
Right.
Right. So there's a lot of new faces on the Dallas Cowboys defense. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers should take advantage of their undisciplined defense by a lot of misdirections. I don't believe Dallas is really disciplined on defense, hence why they were really bad last year on defense. Dallas gave up a lot of points, a lot of miscues, a lot of blown coverages, and a lot of just poor miscommunication. Dak Prescott, in my opinion, is not healthy. That is the info I'm getting from players on his team and the other teams, that his shoulder is not 100%, that he's going to come out early and try to get some little rollout passes, try to get his arm warmed up to try to force some balls deep in one-on-one situations. But we'll see how it goes, how the game goes. But you shouldn't underestimate anybody. I know a lot of people are thinking Tampa Bay is just going to roll over Dallas, but you can't just predict that because you don't know what's going to happen in this game.
Of course, the big story is Dak Prescott coming back from that injured ankle. 5 games last year, on target to throw for 6,500 yards, only 2-3, but different offense, of course. And look, you got a big-time contract extension. He's looking to prove himself at this point, already coming in with an injury. And I feel like, this is a recipe for Todd Bowles, and he's already going to do it most likely. Blitz, blitz, blitz. Let's see how healthy Mr. Prescott is tonight.
Well, if you check out the winning angle, I tell you about Dak Prescott's inabilities as a quarterback.
Well, I tell you what, let's go out to that winning angle here. Let me see if I can get this up because we had a little bit of tech issues tonight here. But I believe, here we go.
Impressive. Excellent.
What's up, everybody? It's that time again. Week 1, Thursday night. Buccaneers at home in Raymond James in sunny Florida facing off against America's team, Dallas Cowboys. But before all that, you know what that means when the football season is back. It's the winning angle with none other than Blake Anthony. So check it out. Check these tidbits out on offense and on defense. Check this out. 3, 2, 1, go. Let's get into how the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense could take care of Dallas's offense. You could fool them by running guys into coverages, mixed coverages, and dropping under zones and things like that, because Dak Prescott shows that he predetermines where he wants to go with the ball without going through his reads. What you have here is a simple drag route. Dak chooses that from the beginning, go underneath, which he had decent protection. Had he not just thrown the drag where he predetermined where he wanted to go with it from the beginning, he would have saw down here on the bottom of the screen where he had Gallup down here at the bottom, running near the near sideline, wide open, and it was availability for have a large gain on this play. We'll show you again here in slow motion. If you look down where I have my highlighter, you'll see the wide receiver break free down here near the 45-yard line, and there's not a defender around him to cover him. Had he dropped that ball in that zone there, Gallup could have had a big gain, and Gallup is known for having a lot of yards after catch. That's something the Tampa Bay Buccaneers got to look into and know that Dak chooses and predetermines where he's going with the ball without actually going through his progression. Look forward to Todd Bowles taking advantage of that. Let's go into another play here. Dak Prescott, again, chooses where he's going with the ball before he goes with it. You have CeeDee Lamb right here in the slot. He looks like he's going there, but he's not. Safety decides to drop back. Lamb is already in his break. The ball's got to be gone. But Dak is waiting on the far side, which I'm going to show you the other angle right here. He's waiting on Gallup, which is getting pressed, and there's a defender inside. Why he decides he thinks this is going to be there, I don't know. These are things I said where the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense can fool him on plays because he predetermines where he wants to go with the ball before he goes there. He's pressed down here. There's a defender inside, and CeeDee Lamb has separation from his defender. This ball should have been gone. CeeDee Lamb could have turned upfield and got some big yardage after catch if had Dak Prescott thrown the ball there on time, confident in the throw, but he misses that. Bucs can take advantage of that. Now let's talk about the Dallas' defense. Yes, they have a lot of interchanging parts, a lot of former Falcon players, Kazi and Keanu Neal there now, but let's check it out here. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, look to see Tampa Bay Buccaneers use misdirection on the Dallas Cowboys, taking advantage of the undisciplined team. Simple fake to Chubb. They all bid on Chubb, and Odell Beckham comes around and end around. Look for Tampa Bay Buccaneers to use a lot of misdirection on the Dallas Cowboys on undisciplined defense and have a big day.
All right, welcome back here to NSPN's Watch Party live from Ducky Sports Lounge. I'm your host, Peter Blake, along with Blake Anthony. Good stuff there. So do you think the Bucs can do that tonight to this team?
Definitely. They can definitely do that. They can definitely run some mixed direction. They can fool Dak Prescott with coverages. They can do all that type of stuff with the Dallas Cowboys on offense and Dallas Cowboys on defense.
Yeah. So the other matchup to me is the wide receivers of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the young corners of the Dallas Cowboys. So, I mean, to me, it's a mismatch nightmare.
It is.
There's not anybody that's going to be able to defend those wide receivers.
It's going to be definitely tough to cover them, and they're going to come out with some haymakers. It's not going to be exactly early. Tom Brady's going to methodically pick apart that defense, find the coverages that he wants, gets the ball to the guys, whether it's deep, short, to the back. You're going to see, and I'll call these plays out if we're going to do the live reaction for the game. And I know what Tom Brady's thinking versus coverage because you know I'm that film guy.
Well, I tell you right now, being a film guy, DeMarcus Lawrence has been disappointing ever since he got an extension. Sounds kind of familiar.
Sounds familiar with the Dallas.
Right, with Ezekiel Elliott.
Seems like the money, the big bag has been hurting people. Broke Dak's ankle.
I'll tell you what, let's go out to the phone lines really quick, and then we're getting Alex Fleming and, of course, Travis Feely of Rocket Sports and Entertainment. Roger, welcome to the NSPN watch party. Almost did it. Almost said evolution. Go ahead.
Peter, great show, man.
Hey, appreciate it. What do you think about this game tonight?
I'm going to go. I know you're going to hate me. I'm going to go Cowboys 28-17.
Somebody's got to do it.
Oh, I tell you what. How about this?
Shut up!
Why do you think that, though? I mean, that's what is?
Because I'm stupid.
See, even admitted to it. He's being a troll. This is Roger Shue, the troll, right there. So, all right, man.
Watching the game, you guys have a good time, and you know what? Go Champs, go Bucs, Tampa Bay, baby.
All right, good stuff. You know what? I'm going to give him a woo for that one. Woo! All right, good stuff. Appreciate you right there. Roger Shue from Newport Richie calling in. Again, open phone lines. We didn't post the number because the great Outcack was just pontificating all his great
dropping bars.
Yes, all his great knowledge there and using words that, you're just amazed by. I'll tell you what, let's go out to Ed. Ed, welcome to NSPN's watch party, your watch broadcasting team. What do you have to say, my friend?
Hey, man, I am just fired up, man. I cannot wait for this game. Oh, my God. Fire the cannons, baby.
Absolutely. I'll fire the cannons right there. I will definitely do that.
Whip some butt tonight.
Okay.
I think they're going to win 42-10.
Ooh, 42-10.
Blown out of the game.
Okay.
Ooh.
Okay.
The
All right.
Cowboys will be blown out by halftime.
All right. I like it. So
you guys are talking about running game. This isn't a running team. This is risk it, no biscuit, baby. They're going to throw that bad boy deep, and that's it.
That's it.
End of story.
All right, man. Good stuff. We'll see you on the post game. All right.
All right. Thanks.
All right.
Bye.
Appreciate you, Ed. There you go. Let me go ahead and give him a woo right there. So if we want to get on Alex Fleming and Travis Feely, if you want to go ahead and get them really quick, but really quick, he mentioned it. No risk it, no biscuit. You saw the special last night on NFL Network, and it's so funny because everybody thought when Tom Brady come here, was this going to be dump,
check down,
and they really
back.
just are going. They went
his
for
arm was
all,
done.
Right. They went for it all last year, especially during that Green Bay game in the second quarter, right before halftime. I mean, those are game-changing plays, and I feel like you're going to see a type of play like that, either by an Antonio Brown or Scotty Miller. Is that what you expect with that questionable defense, especially that back end of the Cowboys?
Yeah, they're just very undisciplined. It's even with Casey back there, coming from the Falcons.
Casey, there you go.
And when Quinn's guys, we'll just see. We'll see how what Dallas has matured over one year to the other. I don't think so. I don't like McCarthy as a head coach. If you saw my show, Crawford Kerr, guy that's been known in the Cowboys agency for a long time, been with the Cowboys, played with him for 8 years.
Sure.
He doesn't like McCarthy either. Doesn't think he's a guy that could really motivate this team. And if you couldn't work with Aaron Rodgers, make you think you're going to make Dak Prescott be better.
Right.
But I digress. What I think here is Tampa's going to take what Dallas gives them. If they're going to give up the cheeks running the ball, then they're going to run the ball on them.
All right.
If they're going to leave them in one-on-one, they're going to launch the ball deep on them. They're going to take advantage of them. And I think one thing before I get out of here and you put Alex and the guys on.
Sure.
Byron Leftwich doesn't get enough credit for the play calls he called. I know everybody likes to say Arians is calling the plays when the game is winning and Leftwich is calling when he's losing. No, Leftwich is calling all the plays and all the games.
Right.
And he's going to find a way to come out and move this ball early in this game. If you want to give a score prediction, I think it's going to be about 28-17. Tampa Bay should be on top.
All right, I like it, and I think Byron Leftwich is going to be the next head coach of the Bucs. How do you feel about that?
It's hard to say. I think Bowles doesn't want to be a head coach. It could be. They could keep everything as it is. Leftwich take over as head coach unless Arians decides to stay. But it's a possibility, Peter.
Real quick, they repeated Super Bowl champions?
Absolutely. Stay healthy.
Okay. All right, there you go. Blake Anthony of Sports Talk 49 here live on NSPN. And, of course, I love St. Pete. All right, let's go get the guys here really quick because we're running down. We're running out of time here. I'll read these comments.
Hit a commercial?
Yeah, we'll hit a – well, I'll tell you what. We'll go ahead and hit a commercial really quick. We'll be back here on NSPN's Watch Party live from Ducky Sports Lounge as it is getting loud as we speak.
Time.
We'll be back.
Hey, Stan Arthur here for the I Love St. Pete Facebook group. If you're a business owner looking to connect with tens of thousands of potential new local customers, you owe it to yourself to get enrolled in our Key Tag Rewards program. Since 2019, we've signed up more than 200 local merchants. Sponsor opportunities are available too, such as our group banner ad and even your own custom key tags. Just go to StPeteKeytag.com, get enrolled, and get ready to get busy. StPeteKeytag.com.
All right, welcome back here to Ducky Sports Lounge, 1719 West Kennedy Boulevard. I'm your host, Peter Blake, along with the flamethrower himself, Mr. Alex Fleming. It's been a long time, my friend. Good to have you on again. What do you think about this game? Quickly.
I think Dallas is awfully mismatched.
Okay.
I think Antonio Brown is the receiver you want to start for your fantasy lineups. I want to see Rojo and Fournette get the running game going. I think we're going to see a couple of long touchdowns tonight. Not just one, maybe two, maybe even three, because CD might actually break one on the Gravediggers.
Yeah, well, you may be absolutely right about that. But here's the thing. I think the matchup to look for, of course, Alex, is the Bucs offensive wide receivers versus that very young back end of the Dallas Cowboys. Malik Hooker, young, didn't play a lot of games last year. Keanu O'Neal, injury problems. I get it, productive, but the corners, Anthony Brown, Diggs, these are not names that you would say, you know what, can they shut down a Mike Evans, a Chris Godwin, or once again, an Antonio Brown?
I don't believe they can.
That's what I'm saying. So
I don't believe they can.
That's where I'm going.
DeMonte Casey is going to be stuck with either Godwin or Brown.
Mm-hmm.
He loses in both those situations. And you have to have Diggs, Trayvon Diggs, on Mike Evans. And he's a smaller corner. Mike Evans is a beast. Last year, Mike Evans had 70 receptions, 1,000 yards, 13 touchdowns. So that's mismatch number one. Whoever you're putting on Antonio Brown, that's mismatch number two. I'm thinking about the linebacker core. A very unhealthy Wolf Hunter, a bad underperforming Jalen Smith, and Micah Parsons, a rookie, who's going to get a pass tonight.
Right.
Is going to get blessed into the NFL on trying to stop the tight end room.
And even if you have Dan Quinn as your new defensive coordinator, can he turn around that Cowboy defense just like that? We all know it takes a little bit of time. Look, they have some talent, but I think it takes some time. I think they're overmatched tonight, and that's why I like the Bucs big in this game.
I like the Bucs by I like the Bucs by 20.
20. All right. How many wins this year for this team, and will they repeat as Super Bowl champions?
They'll make it back to the Super Bowl. I'm not ready to say that they'll repeat as champions. 14-3.
14-3. I like it because that's what I think too. 14-3. They beat the Buffalo Bills in Super Bowl 56, of course.
That's funny. That's who I got them playing.
Wow. Great minds think alike. There
yes,
you go.
They do.
Well, we got 2 minutes to go, so I don't know where Travis Faley is. We wanted to get him on. We'll have to get him on during the halftime edition of the NSPN Watch Party live from Ducky's. So for the great Blake Anthony, Alex Fleming, and, of course, Al Keck, I'm your host, Peter Blake. Have a great game.
Hey, Stan Arthur here for the I Love St. Pete Facebook group. If you're a business owner looking to connect with tens of thousands of potential new local customers, you owe it to yourself to get enrolled in our Key Tag Rewards program. Since 2019, we've signed up more than 200 local merchants. Sponsor opportunities are available too, such as our group banner ad and even your own custom key tags. Just go to StPeteKeytag.com, get enrolled, and get ready to get busy. StPeteKeytag.com.